You are the tax assessment director and you have people working with you in your department under relevant tax authority. What are the things you will expect them to work with? This is the purpose of tax audit checklist. They need to have some basic information to work with deduced from the tax payer's file. So what are those things? Those are the things that we want to look at. Basically, it doesn't really matter the type of tax audit that they may want to engage in, be it the desk audit review or field audit review. So types of audits, we have two types basically: the desk tax audit, and also we have field tax audit. So it doesn't really matter which among these you and your team want to engage on. So the question is, you as a tax director, what are the things you expect to be on the checklist to work with? Number one, you want to know the name of the organization. So I will rub off the types of audits so that we can start with the checklist. So the checklist you need to work with, you need to know the name of the organization. What is the name of the organization you want to audit? Name of the company. And having known that, you also want to know their registered address. This is examinable question. Their registered address of the organization. Where, because at the end of the day, your desk review or tax debt audit review may lead you to field audit review. So you need to know the address, their registered address. And having known their registered address, you also need to know their business address. What is the difference and why do we need to know this? Their registered address is the registered address with the Corporate Affairs Commission, the CAC, the registrar of company. But as the business continues, it's possible that they've relocated or have branches. So those will fall under the business address or addresses that you may need to visit. Then the next question you need to ask, because it's going to affect their tax computation and everything that you want to audit and investigate, will be their date of incorporation. Date of incorporation, because you need to know when they incorporate, so that especially if that is their first year of paying tax and filing, you need to know that they got their commencement period and commencement rule very well. Of course, it has been made easier now that we have new Finance Act, but nevertheless, we still need to know the dates of incorporation so that we can begin familiarization with the organization. Then, having known the date they incorporate, we need to know the date of their business commencement now also. So date of commencement of their business operations. So we want to know when do they actually start to do business, because it's possible to register an organization and not having business. But we need to be very sure of one thing: whether we commence business or not, An organization after the date of commencement should be filing at the appointed agreed time with the Corporate Affairs Commission and the other regulators of that is government agencies. The date yearly returns must be filed whether business is in operations or not. Please don't forget that. The date of incorporation, the date of commencement of business, and that whether business commences or not, you must continue to file. So this could be one of the pointer now to other tax investigation, the commencement of business. And there are other aspects of it that tax officers will want to know. Now it is you, because the question is being asked to you. What will you expect in the tax checklist of your people, or you yourself, the checklist you want to make to work with? These are the things that you need to work with. Basic, you need their tax file number. Of course, without their tax file number, you will not be able to retrieve it from the office. All these things may seem basic, but they are very important, and during examination tension we may easily forget. So it's possible we put it on our fingertips. Tax file number for you to retrieve their file. Also, you need to know, which is paramount, the nature of the business of your taxpayer you want to audit. Nature of their business, you need to know which industry they are and things that may border on the technicality, because the nature of their business will now lead us to who and who among our tax staff, now relevant tax authorities staff, that we need to deploy because of the technicality of the nature of business of the organization we are working on. If you proceed from the desk review to finally tax audit review on the organization's premises, you will need most likely relate with their external auditor. So you need to know who their auditors are, and also their tax consultants. So tax consultant, you need the information, their name, their addresses, and the like. Also, who are their bankers? Who are their bankers? Because many times, if taxpayer hides their income and the like, we may get information from the bank. And don't forget that government has authority to request for some things. So please don't be baffled, even though there are ways to go about it. So we need to know their bankers and their bank addresses. Also, their lawyers, their solicitor, you need to know their solicitors, and also if they have company secretary and the like, even though now the new Finance Act has played down on company secretary. So I'm not going to put that, but it may be important because they may have some peculiar information that as tax authority you may need to know from their lawyers or secretary or accountant, as the case may be. What is their share capital? You need to know their share capital, and this will say a lot actually about the organization too. Their authorized share capital, the issued share capital, you need to understand and have the figure at your fingers tips. The shareholding structure, you need to understand that particular organization shareholding structure, because if you do not understand it, you may not really know how to approach the organization and who is who that you really need to relate with, or the personality behind the organization that you are actually dealing with. I've given us like how many? Should we still add more, or we should even stop here? Okay, let's add. As we know the shareholders, we may equally, or we will even need to understand and know the name of directors and the management staff. So names of the directors, don't forget authority has been given them to direct and manage the organization. So, and if at all they have shareholding too, we may need to know. And if they are basically employee of the organization without having shareholding, we need to understand, are there associate companies and the like, and their addresses. Don't forget, now that we are talking about transfer pricing, so this may lead us to transfer price. So we need to understand and know their associated companies and their addresses and the like. And you know what, this may increase the tentacle of the tax collection and the like. Also, do they have litigation and the like? And if any, we need to gather information about that litigation. So understand whether they have litigation or not. Also, the file tax return that they've submitted, we need to understand the period, the period covered, the period covered. We need to understand that financial, what year, what month did it cover. We need to understand. And last but not the least, that how we'll be mentioning, you too can add to it, will be the accounting year. What is their accounting year end? Accounting year end, that's so that there will not be audit overlap and worry the organization, so that they can equally do some other things, because if they do not make money, what would the tax authority be taxing on? So we need to understand the cutoff period, which we call accounting year end. And having gathered all this information about our tax payers identity, we need, if at the end of the day we must proceed to field work, we need to notify them. We should not forget notification. And if the question asks, we need to notify them. And what are the information that we must put in the letter of notification? Don't forget, now we can use email. Now we can mail the organization directly or send by post. What are the information that we need to have now? We need to let the organization know that we've selected them for tax audit actually, and that we'll be visiting. That's number one. Two, they need to know which year will be covered by our tax review, so that they can prepare. So the year that the audit exercise, tax audit exercise, will cover must be stated in the letter of intention for audit notification of taxpayer. So also we need to have a list of records sent to them that we request from them to have from them, so that they can get all those things ready for us. Also, we need to let them know the dates and the time of commencement of the audit exercise that we want to embark on. And also, from where are we auditing them from? Which tax station? So the name of the relevant tax authority must be stated, that we come to carry it out. And also, members of the audit team are expected to carry their identification card. You don't just come into an organization without identifying yourself. We want to be sure that you are actually a staff, a government staff, duly authorized to come in and check our books for tax purposes. So all these are important details that we need to understand about. tax audit and investigation, types of tax audit and investigation, in which we said basically there are two. We have the armchair approach, which we call desk tax review or tax audit, and we have field audit, in which we will need to go to tax premises. We've made mention of the audit checklist that we need to work with to assist us to understand the organization that we want to really work on. We need to know their name, we need to know their registered office, we need to know their business address, and if you are new here, please subscribe to GJAMES Associate channel. We want to believe you've add value. Subscribe, like, comment, share. We also said that the date of incorporation must be known to us, and it's important, just like the commencement date of the business. We need to know their tax file number to be able to retrieve it from our file. The nature of their business will help us to know who among our staff we need to deploy to the field if peradventure we are going on the field. The nature of their business, I had mentioned that their auditor, their tax consultants, their addresses, we need to know it. Their bankers and their addresses, we need to know it. We need to know their solicitor if peradventure they have one. We need to know their secretary if peradventure they have one. Their share capital, whether authorized and or issued, we need to know them. We need to know their shareholding structure. We need to know their shareholders. We need to know the name of their directors. We need to know their associated companies and affiliated member group, member companies. So we need to know whether they have litigation on or not, and we need to understand the financials if they've submitted, period that it covers, and the accounting year end that we are working towards or we are working on. From GJ's Associate Channel, Benga Olatunji FCA has been speaking. We are value to life. We are value to your businesses. Next time, join us as we look at the objective of tax audit. What are the objectives of tax audit? What do they want to achieve?